Welcome to Yoga with Kaila. Let's relax and move our body with our breath. If you are loving these videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Hello and welcome to our 20-minute full body yoga stretch. Today, we're going to begin in our mountain pose, taking those shoulders up towards the ears, rolling them down and back. Hands, palms fall open. We find our Tadasana, our mountain pose. So standing strong and firm in our mountain pose, planting through all four corners. So lift the toes, rock into the heels, finding all four corners of our feet. Shoulders rolled back, heart center lifted. Just taking a moment to check in with your body. Realizing your breath, noticing its path through your body. We're going to begin to warm up. Let's inhale, arms sweep up high overhead. Exhaling, sitting down into our chair pose. Inhale as we lift, and as we exhale, sitting down, making sure that our knees stay away from each other. Let's do two more. Inhale. Good. Exhale. On the last one, we're going to hold down in our chair pose. Here we go. Let's hold it down. Heart center is lifted. Arms can be up above your head at heart center or onto your hips. Your choice. And if you'd like to take this a little further and come into a balancing chair, let's just rock side to side. So inhaling and exhaling, switching feet, just working on that ankle mobility a little bit. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can choose to come into your full balancing chair, coming onto toes, dropping those sit bones down. Thighs are parallel with the mat. So I'm going to turn to the side just so that you can see. So we're kicking those heels forward. Thighs are parallel. You can just keep alternating side to side using that breath if you'd like. We're building that heat if you're down here in your balancing chair for 3, 2, inhale, reaching up. Exhale, swan dive forward, forward fold. Coming all the way down. Planting our hands either on our mat, on our thighs, on our shins, or onto a yoga block. It is completely up to you. So grounding. Let's taking a nice deep bend through the knees. Inhaling, sweeping those arms up high overhead. Exhaling down to heart center. Finding our Tadasana, once again, our mountain pose. Okay, so we're going to turn onto the long edge of our mat and let's take our feet out nice and wide. Instead of sun salutations today, I thought we would do moon salutations. So let's inhale, arms sweep up high overhead into our 5-pointed star. Exhaling, elbows down to our sides as we bend deeply through our knees. Inhaling as we reach, exhaling down into our moon pose. Now let's inhale, arms up high overhead. Turning to the right hand side, we pivot on our left foot. Hands coming to heart center, we find our lunge. Inhale, sweeping those arms up high overhead. Exhale, stepping our left foot in just slightly, extending long through our right leg. We hinge at our hips, coming down into our pyramid posture. Taking a breath. Walking those hands forward, planting firmly through our hands. We're going to lift that left leg up off our mat. Option to stay here into our leg lift with a flexed foot. Or option to come in to our balancing half moon, taking that right hand in front of that right foot, our left hand to our left hip. We rotate that hip open, flexing that foot, reaching up high towards the sky, balancing half moon. Taking a breath. So whether you're in your balancing half moon or in just the leg lift, we're going to step down with our left foot, bending deeply through our knees, finding our prayer squat. Wonderful. Let's inhale up into our 5-pointed star. Exhaling, elbows down to our sides. Inhale, lift, 5-pointed star. Exhale, down into our moon. Inhales, twisting over to our left-hand side this time, pivoting on our right foot. We find our lunge, sweeping those arms up high overhead. Wonderful. Step that right foot in slightly, extending long through both legs. Hinging from our hips, we come down into our pyramid posture. Option to ground onto our thighs. Walking our hands forward, we place our weight into our hands, lifting that right leg up off of that mat now. Option to come into your balancing half moon on this side. Left hand comes in front of your left foot. Right hand to your right hip, rotating open, and then lifting up, balancing half moon. Woo. Finding that balance. Coming back down into that prayer squat. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, moon. Inhale, lift. Exhale, moon. Inhale, twisting to our right. We pivot into our lunge, sweeping those arms up. Exhale, step that left foot in, coming down, pyramid posture. Inhaling, walking those hands forward, lifting that back leg, twisting open, balancing half moon. You know your options. Exhale, dropping that left leg down, prayer squat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, moon. Inhale, lift. Exhale, moon. Inhale, pivot, left side. Down into your lunge, sweeping those arms up high overhead. Step that right foot in slightly, hinging from our hips, down into that pyramid posture. Walking those hands forward, lifting that right leg up. Option to have that pivot. You know your options. Into your balancing half moon. Keeping that core tight. Exhale. Prayer squat. Inhale, lift. Exhale into our moon. And let's just hang out here. Whew. That was a lot to do. That was a lot to remember. A lot on our brain, right? As we use that left and right side of our brain. Let's inhale, lift into our 5-pointed star. Exhale, hinging forward. Standing straddle. Let it go. So with our wide stance straddle, I'm just going to turn so that you can see me from the side. We're going to do a little bit of a wide stance downward facing dog. So from our wide stance straddle, we're going to walk our hands forward and press back into your down dog. So you can be up onto your toes a little bit if that feels better to you. You do not have to be planted through those heels, but this is up to you, how you want to find that down dog with that wide stance. We're going to flow this a little bit. So let's inhale forward, sliding forward, shoulders coming over our hands, finding our plank. Exhale, pressing it back, down dog. Let's do a couple more. Using your own breath here to inhale forward and then exhale back, pressing it back. Let's do 2 more. 1 more. Wonderful. Let's walk those feet in, finding our traditional down dog, and we begin to walk our feet towards our hands. Taking a nice deep bend through the knees, rolling up 1 vertebrae at a time, rolling those shoulders down and back. Give them a little roll. Okay, let's go into our balancing posture. Today we're going to do dancer's pose. So let's pick up our right leg, bending at our knee, we're going to grab onto our ankle. So if we can't quite grab our ankle, you could use a yoga strap if you had one available to hook it around your ankle, pulling it over your shoulder. If you don't have a yoga strap, we want to just keep reaching for that ankle. You could also come nice and close to a wall, bring those toes up to the wall and press your hip here. So lots of options as we get started. If you're reaching your ankle, we're grabbing it with our hands turned to the outside. Arm up nice and tall. Wonderful. Okay, so from here, we're going to hinge forward, kicking our back leg up and back. So I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. We're hinging forward, using that eye gaze to follow a point in front of us, following those fingertips, kicking up and back with that leg, coming into that dancer's pose. Woo. Balancing is not my friend today, but we got this. We're going to keep trying. Using that yogi strength, that yogi determination, kicking up and back, keeping that focus. Core is nice and tight. Take 1 more inhale and exhale. Inhale, coming back up through center. Exhale, let it go. Whew. Let's use that other side. Let's shake out those legs. We're going to do the other side. Okay. Hand out. You know your options for grabbing onto that leg and working towards grabbing that leg if we're not already there. Okay. Then we're going to grab on. Arm up. I'm gonna hop to the side so you can see me. Okay. We're going to begin to hinge from our hips, soft bend in our knee, eye gaze following our fingertips as we kick up and back with that left leg, allowing that shoulder to fall back. Keeping that knee tucked in, we don't want to let it flare out, so we want that knee tucked. Kick up and back, use that core strength, use that yogi determination. If you're falling out, you're getting right back in, keep trying. Keeping that gaze forward. Breathing. Finding that stillness, that calm in the posture. Let's take one more full revolution of breath here. Inhale back up through center. Exhale, let it go. Shake it out. All right, we're doing so good. So good. Okay, we're already 10 minutes in. 10 more minutes to go. We're doing this. Okay, sweeping those arms up high overhead. Let's exhale, swan diving forward, coming into our forward fold. Taking a nice deep bend through our knees. Just allowing that belly to rest onto the knees, finding that little bit of rhythm, right? Can you find that bounce? Allowing that head to hang. Can you nod it? Can you shake it? Can you just let that stress go? Maybe you grab elbow to elbow and you sway side to side. Your choice here, your practice. Wonderful. Let's step our feet back, finding our child's pose, pressing it back. Child's pose. So you can take that wide knees child's pose if it feels better for you. Arms extended out nice and long, forehead coming down onto our mat. Now, if this is too much for our hips, we can choose to have our bum in the air coming into puppy. Puppy is also an option instead of downward facing dog. So completely up to you. You can come into puppy or down dog. The most important thing here is that we're grounding our forehead, whether it's on our mat, on our wrists, on a yoga block, right? As long as we're grounding down somehow. Finding that peace and serenity within the posture. Let's reach our arms way, way forward. Inhaling forward, finding kneeling plank. Tucking our elbows to our sides, we're reaching forward even more as if we're peering off the edge of our mat. Elbows tucked to sides, we come down, chaturanga. Just coming to that halfway point, hold. Inhale, press it back up to that plank position, pressing it back, child's pose, building that upper body strength. Inhale, forward, kneeling plank. Exhale, halfway, chaturanga. Inhale, back. Pressing it back, right? You've got this. 2 more, just like this. Use your breath. 1 more. Pressing it back, let it go. Wonderful. Let's inhale forward onto all fours. We're going to find a little pendulation in our hips. So let's just begin to make like a letter S between your hips and your shoulders. We're just wiggling side to side, getting that lateral pendulation, that motion through our spine. All right, let's find neutral spine. Perfect. Extending that left leg, we kick it straight up and back. We want to make sure that we're coming parallel hips here. We don't want to be rotating open or really kicking it right way up high. Parallel hips. Option to do just the legs or just the arms or doing both. We're going to extend that right arm forward as if to shake someone's hand. We don't want that shoulder coming forward, shoulder staying back into your spine, lifting and extending, making that extension come from your midline, right? It's coming from your abdomen. Your core is holding you up. It's not coming from your legs and arms. Taking a moment here. As we inhale, on the exhale, elbow comes in towards your knee, finding that bird dog position. Inhale, lift, extend. Exhale, elbow towards your knee, making the entire motion, the extension and the contraction coming from that midline. Can you find that feeling in your core as we extend arm and leg out from our core? Let's do 2 more, just like this. Extend and release. All right, find that pendulation. Give yourself that little S wiggle. Wonderful. Okay. This time, picking up that right leg, kicking it on back, checking in. 2 hips in one line. Option to lift that arm. Left arm coming up. Extension. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Shoulders back into our spine. We're lifted tall. Wonderful. Taking an inhale, and on the exhale, we bring that elbow towards our knee, making this come from that midline. Inhale, extend out through that core, pulling that belly button in nice and tight. And exhale, rounding in, controlling that motion. So we're not going quick. We want to control that motion and make everything come from that midline. Right? This core strength is so imperative to the way that our body moves. Becoming very aware of how we're moving our body through space. 2 more, just like this. You got this. 1 more. Extending back out before we release down, pressing it back, child's pose. Let it go. Wonderful. Gotta love this. All right, let's inhale forward, lowering ourselves down onto our bellies. We're going to use that yogi back strength as we come into our locust pose here. So hands, palms come down by our sides. Shoulders rolling back. We're going to take a nice inhale, and on the exhale, we're going to lift everything up off the floor, up and back. Lifting those legs, keeping them in nice and tight, but not too tight, right? Shoulders rolling back into that spine, lifting, extending. Couple more breaths here as we roll into that belly. And exhale, let it go, dropping your left ear off towards your mat. Allow those shoulders to roll. All right, so we're going to do locust a little bit different this time. We're going to come into our crocodile pose. So crocodile is just like locust, except for this time, we're going to gently have our hands on the back of our head. So turning that neck down towards our mat, our hands come behind our head. So you can crisscross your hands one over the other if you like, interlacing your fingers, or you can just gently place them on the back of your neck. It is completely up to you. The most important thing is that we're not pulling on our neck and we're not placing a lot of weight on our neck. Taking a nice deep inhale here, and on the exhale, everything lifts up and back. Now we're using that mid-back strength, right? Holding those arms open, pulling those elbows back, opening through that chest. Now you can do just the arms or just the legs. This is completely up to you. This is your version of crocodile. Holding, lifting. 1 more full revolution of breath here. And exhale, let it go, dropping your right ear off towards the mat. Allowing it to just relax, let it go. Wonderful work here. We're really beginning to work on those back bends, that back strengthening, right? Placing our hands underneath our shoulders. Let's tuck those elbows in towards our body, pressing up into our kneeling plank position. Pressing back, child's pose. Let it go. Let's inhale forward, dropping our hips off to one side, swinging our legs around front. Wonderful. Legs into the staff pose, sitting up nice and tall, flexing those feet, pulling them back towards your nose. We're not pressing into our hands, we're just sitting simply up, nice and tall. Let's go ahead and bend our right leg. So our left foot is flexed, our right leg is bent. We're going to bring that right arm around behind us to support us. Taking that left arm, we reach it up high towards the sky, and we're going to bend that left elbow towards the outside of our right knee. Inhale, lift through heart center. Exhale, twist. So we're getting that little bit of seated twist action here. If it's available to us, we're going to look over that right shoulder. Now, we don't want to be ranking on our knee with our elbow. We don't want to be pressing and using that to cause the rotation. The rotation comes from that midline, comes from that core strength. So that elbow is just simply coming to the outside of the knee. We're not using it for leverage. So if you're wondering if you're using your elbow for leverage, you can remove that elbow and see if you stay twisted. If you stay twisted, then you are not using it for leverage. If you don't stay twisted, then you are using it for leverage. So inhale, lift, exhale, twist. Giving you a nice spinal twist here. Breathing deeply. Exhale, slowly unraveling one vertebrae at a time, coming back around front. Let's switch. This time, left leg comes in, right leg goes out, flexing those toes of the right leg, sitting up nice and tall. Our left arm is going to come around behind us to support us. Right arm up high towards the sky. We bring that elbow down towards the outside of that left knee. Inhale, lifting through heart center. Exhale, twist. Using that twist here, looking over that left shoulder if it's available to us today, or we can keep a nice neutral neck. Completely up to you. Again, checking in. Are you using that elbow for leverage, right? Can you stay twisted with moving that elbow? Where is that twist coming from in your body? Breathing, staying tall. One more full revolution of breath here as we're twisting, wringing out each vertebra in our spine. And exhale, let it go. Coming back through center, shaking those legs out. Let's bring our feet into butterfly here. You've got it. Okay, so we're just gonna rock a little bit in our butterfly, side to side. Let's find our half lotus. So we're going to crisscross our right leg on top of our left. So it's almost like our easy seated position, but we're in half lotus. Sitting up nice and tall in your half lotus, let's just begin to walk our hands forward. So you should feel a little bit of a stretch here in your hip rotators or in the outside of those hips. So feeling that nice, beautiful, lovely stretch. You've got it. Breathing. Now you can also do this position seated throughout the day in a chair if you work in an office or anything like that, where you just crisscross one leg up and over and just lean slightly forward. It's so great for those hip rotators. They get super tight with all the sitting that we do in our lives. So important to take care of our hips. One more full breath here. And exhale, let it go. This time we're going to take that left leg up and over, crisscrossing it onto that right leg. Switching sides here, sitting up nice and tall. Exhale, coming down and forward. Extending those arms forward. So you don't even have to move very far to feel this stretch, especially if you're feeling super tight in those hips. And one thing I should mention is if you're noticing that your sit bones are coming up off the floor, you could elevate your hips onto a yoga block. So you just sit up nice and high on a yoga block and you'll be able to get more movement through those hips if you're not finding that you're getting the same movement that I get. And we don't compare ourselves to others, right? We just simply notice our body here today and where we're at. We meet our body each day with where we're at. No judgment, no expectation, just simply being in the moment and being with ourselves and our body, our thoughts, right? Allowing ourselves to stay present. Breathing. And exhale, let it go. Bringing those knees back up. Let's grab onto the back side of one leg and roll down into our mat, bringing our knees in towards our chest. Give yourself a little rock, a little back massage out, extending that left leg out nice and long. We're just going to squeeze that right knee in towards our chest, and then we'll switch left knee in, right leg out, squeeze in towards your chest. We'll do it one more time each side. Switch, give yourself a little squeeze and a little squeeze. It always feels so nice. And exhaling that left leg out, rolling those shoulders down, hands, palms fall open. If you're feeling this into your low back, it's too much, you can choose to plant firmly through the feet, allow the knees to knock in. Just taking a moment here, finding your breath. So your variation of Savasana, knees bent or legs out long. Let's find our breath, taking our right hand to our belly, our left hand to our forehead. See if you can connect your breath between your hands. Can you breathe into your belly? Can you breathe into that forehead? Two more breaths here. And switching, left hand to your belly, right hand to your chest this time. Inhaling and exhaling, seeing if you can connect your breath between your chest and your belly. Can you keep the inhales and the exhales coming in and out of your nose, keeping that warming sensation here? Let me do 2 more breaths. And let's begin to roll onto one side and slowly make our way back up to a seated position. Wonderful job. So thank you so much for joining me here today in this 20-minute yoga practice. I really appreciate having you with me. The light in me bows, honors, and truly loves and enjoys the light in you. Namaste.